I need leather for a project, specifically to make a set of bellows, and leather is expensive. Alternative is to go out in the wilderness and hunt something and take its skin. So we're going to do the economical budget version of this and hunt a wild leather couch. When you skin a wild couch cushion, you find a place to make a good seam, and then you use something very sharp like your fingers to make a slit right across here. And then you can just peel off the skin like a sock, just like so. There it is, that nice pre-tanned skin ready to go. Hunter-gatherers in the modern world. It's a little bit strange to me that this is the cheapest way to get leather.
And yet, this was the cheapest way to get leather.
In an upcoming video, I'm going to explain all about how this bellows works, and I'm also going to compare and contrast it with a Japanese style bellows and a couple of other ones to show technology from around the world. But in this video, I want to talk about something else. The labor theory of value says that the value of an object is baked into the cost of the materials that went in to make it and the capital that was used to produce it, plus the labor time of the person who made it. Land, labor, capital, all these things go into the making of a couch. So why could I get one for free? Using the metric of could I build this, the answer is no. That isn't the only time I've picked up a couch for free. This one, similar deal, Craigslist. All they wanted me to do was to pick it up. How was it that this guy valued the couch at zero? Except he didn't value it at zero. If the guy who gave me the couch valued the couch at $0, he would not have traded the couch for $0. That would have been a completely even trade. But the guy was actually grateful when I took it off his hands, which means that the value of the couch for him was negative. The subjective theory of value says that the value we place in things, the price we're willing to pay for something, is actually really subjective. If you care what color it is, you're willing to pay extra for that. If you don't want something, it doesn't matter how much time and effort and energy it took to make it. I don't want a gold-covered toilet. Sorry, not interested. Within the subjective theory of value, you have both positive value, something that you desire and are willing to make trades to get, and negative value. Classic examples of this are pain, sewer, and trash. You are willing to pay money to get rid of those. I pay for a monthly trash pickup in my city, and fortunately we have that service available, and I am able to pay to get rid of trash that I no longer want. It's fall. These trees are all trying to get rid of their leaves because they take metabolism, they take energy to maintain. And so it's actually better for the plant to ditch the leaves for next year. But there's also a whole bunch of other relationships in this ecosystem where down here, these leaves are a resource that is used by nematodes and worms and centipedes and all kinds of things as habitat, bedding, and food. And those in turn feed the microbial life that then go to nourish the tree again, and you end up with this whole circle of life thing. The tree initially has negative value from the leaves, but that doesn't mean that no one can put it to use. The creatures here on the forest floor are able to use those productively and turn them into something beautiful, turn them into good soil and eventually back into nuts and food that even humans can use. A large number of the projects that I have customarily done have been ones involving, found materials and or junk that somebody was trying to get rid of. Down here, I've got a big pile of motors that I've pulled out of all kinds of other products. There's one from the treadmill that was originally here in the house when we first moved in. The previous occupants had decided that it was too much energy and effort to try to remove this thing, and so we got a bonus treadmill out of the deal. And it stayed there for 6 months because it took so much time, energy, and kind of logistics work to get it out for us, until I finally took it apart for parts. But there's a second sense of the negative value concept, and that is the value of empty space, of the negative. Strictly speaking, I'm not actually interested in the leather for the sake of the leather. What I want the leather for is for my bellows project. And the bellows, it's all about the space inside. And funny enough, I think that's actually what the guy I got the couch from was looking for as well. What he wanted from this trade, where he was willing to spend labor helping me lift it out of his house and lift it up into my truck and, wave as I drove off with his couch, what he got out of the deal was his living room back. He got the space that was formerly taken up by that couch. Flat surfaces naturally collect junk. Shelves naturally collect tchotchkes, and the same is true with your schedule. In your schedule, whatever amount of time you have is going to fill up with something. It's not like you have a choice to not spend your time. I have found that some of the greatest negative value in my life, value of these empty spaces, is from the hours of about 6:30 to 7:30. That 1 hour, my wife and I have made it a concerted effort to carve out for our kids. That's when we go through our evening routine. And for us, what that means is I make popcorn, I typically make herbal tea, we sit around the table, and then we'll pray as a family, we'll read some scripture stories, or I'll tell a scripture story, and then we'll dive into reading a couple chapters from a book that's something like The Candy Shop War or Redwall. We've gone through a lot of kids' literature that way. And the kids get to stay up for as long as they're sitting still and being quiet. And as soon as it gets rowdy enough or we hit a good cliffhanger, we wrap it up and I tell everybody to go brush their teeth. That time is precious, and it's centering, and it's uniting. I've been thinking about other places where I can carve out and hold time sacred. I'm trying to take control of my mornings right now and make better use of that time that I otherwise wouldn't, to have a dedicated time for learning. That's something that up till now I've kind of squeezed into the cracks, and I think I want to widen those cracks and carve out a space and hold that space sacred. Personally, with the negative value thing, I see a tremendous amount of value in, unrealized projects. I'll be driving along the side of the road, somebody's getting rid of a washing machine or a lawnmower, and I'll say, ooh, I could turn that into, and I'm seeing value in a place where someone else saw negative value. They wanted to get rid of it. But the trouble is, if I collect too many projects, I end up losing the other kind of negative value. My garage becomes cluttered with projects that are all in various states of half finished. And I have a whole bunch of materials that someone else threw away and would have considered junk that I honestly should consider the value of getting rid of. It's a delicate balance, and I'm still trying to figure it out. This concept reminds me of a key idea from the Tao Te Ching, a book of Chinese philosophy written over 2,000 years ago.
30 spokes share the wheel's hub. It is the center hole that makes it useful. Shape clay into a vessel. It is the space within that makes it useful. Cut doors and windows for a room. It is the holes which make it useful. Therefore, profit comes from what is there. Usefulness from what is not there. Tao Te Ching, chapter 11. Funny enough, there's actually a section from the Tao Te Ching that's about bellows specifically. This is from chapter 5. Is not the space between heaven and earth like a bellows? It is empty, but it lacks nothing. The more it moves, the more comes out of it.
Incidentally, this is another project I'm working on. I've been splitting logs for a fence project. Subscribe if you want to see that later. If this video was valuable to you and gave you something insightful or useful to think about, please consider leaving a like and a subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.